Hello, everybody. Now, today we cover the third part or fourth part of the Satipaṭṭhānasutta, which is the second exercise of lesson 27. Iti accattang va dhammesu dhammanupassi viharati, pahitta va dhammesu dhammanupassi viharati. Accatta pahitta va dhammesu dhammanupassi viharati, samudaya dhammanupassi viharati, samudaya va dhammesu viharati. Vaya dhammanupassi va dhammesu viharati, samudaya vaya dhammanupassi va dhammesu viharati. Attidamati va panasasati patrapatida hoti yavadeva jnanamattaya parisarimattaya nisito cha viharati natcha kinjiloki upadiyati evam ko bhikkave bhikkhu dhammesu dhammanupassi viharati panjasu nivaranesu. Okay, thus he dwells observing the mental contents within the mental contents, inside, outside, inside and outside. He dwells in the mental contents, observing the nature of arising, passing, arising and passing. Or his awareness, his mindfulness is established. That is mental contents. There is mental contents to the extent that for mere observation, for bare knowledge, and for mere continuous mindfulness. And he lives unattached, not clinging to anything in the world. Thus, indeed, a monk dwells observing the mental contents within the mental contents with regard to the 5 hindrances. Punachaparam bhikkave bhikkhu dhammesu dhammanupassi viharati panjasu padana khandesu. Katancha bhikkave bhikkhu dhammesu dhammanupassi viharati panjasu padana khandesu. Ita bhikkave bhikkhu iti rupassa samudayo, iti rupassa attakamo, iti vedanaya samudayo, iti vedanaya attakamo, iti sanyaya samudayo, iti sanyaya attakamo, iti sankaranang samudayo, iti sankaranang attangamo, iti vinyanassa samudayo, iti vinyanassa attakamo, iti accattang va dhammesu dhammanupassi viharati. Evam ko bhikkave bhikkhu dhammesu dhammanupassi viharati panjasu padana khandesu. Furthermore, a monk dwells observing the mental contents within the mental contents with regard to the 5 groups of clinging. And how, O monks, does a monk dwell observing the mental contents in the mental contents with regard to the 5 groups of clinging, of grasping? Here, O monks, a monk, like I would provide, understands, thus is form, thus is the arising of form or the origination of form, thus is the extinction of form, thus is feeling or sensation, thus is the arising of feeling or sensation, thus is the extinction of sensation or feeling, thus is perception, thus is the arising of perception, thus is the extinction of perception, thus is volitional formation, thus are volitional formations, thus are the arising of volitional formations, and thus are the extinction. Thus is the extinction of volitional formations. This is consciousness. Thus is the arising of consciousness, and thus is the extinction of consciousness. And he dwells observing the mental contents within the mental contents, inside, and so on and so on. Thus, does a monk dwell observing the mental contents within the mental contents with regard to the 5 aggregates of clinging or the 5 groups of clinging. Punacha parang bhikkave bhikkhu dhammesu dhammanupassi viharati chasu achattika bahidesu ayatanesu. Katancha bhikkave bhikkhu dhammesu dhammanupassi viharati chasu achattika bahidesu ayatanesu. Ita bhikkave bhikkhu chakun chapajanati rupe chapajanati yancha tadupayam paticca upachati samyochanam tancha pajanati yathacha anupanassa samyochanassa upado hoti tancha pajanati yathacha upanassa samyochanassa pahanan hoti tancha pajanati yathacha pahinassa samyochanassa ayatin anupado hoti tancha pajanati suttam chapajanati satte chapajanati pe ghanam chapajanati gandhe chapajanati pe jibham chapajanati rase chapajanati pe kayam chapajanati bhottabbe chapajanati pe manan chapajanati tamme chapajanati yancha tadupayam paticca upachati samyojanam tancha pajanati yathacha anupanassa samyojanassa upado hoti tancha pajanati yathacha upanassa samyojanassa pahanam hoti tancha pajanati yathacha pahinassa samyojanassa ayating anupado hoti tancha pajanati iti acchattang va dhammesu dhammanupassi viharati pahitta va dhammesu dhammanupassi viharati acchatta pahitta va dhammesu dhammanupassi viharati samudaya dhammanupassi va dhammesu viharati vaya dhammanupassi va dhammesu viharati samudaya vaya dhammanupassi va dhammesu viharati atti dhamma tiva panassasati pachupattita hoti yavadeva jnanamattaya parisati mattaya anissito viharati Nacha kinchi loki upadiyati evam ko bhikkave bhikkhu dhammesu dhammanupassi viharati achattika bahidesu ayatanesu. Furthermore, O monks, a monk dwells observing the mental contents within the mental contents with regard to the 6 inner, internal, and external spheres. And how does he do it? Here, O monks, a monk understands the eye and the forms, and he understands the theta which arises dependent of them both, and how the unarisen theta arises, and how the arisen theta is abandoned, and how the abandoned theta doesn't arise anymore in the future. This is all he understands. The same he understands for the ear and the sounds, the nose and the smells, the tongue and the tastes, the body and the sensations, as well as the mind and the mental contents. He understands the theta which arises dependent on both of them, on them both, and how the unarisen theta arises, and how the arisen theta is abandoned, and how the abandoned theta in the future doesn't arise anymore. This is all he understands. Thus, he dwells observing the mental contents within the mental contents, inside, outside, inside and outside. And he dwells within, among the mental contents, observing the nature of arising, of passing, and arising and passing. There is, and his mindfulness is established, or now his mindfulness is established, there is mental content, to the extent that for the sake of mere knowledge and mere and continuous mindfulness, and he lives and he dwells unattached to the world, he dwells unattached, not clinging to anything in the world. Thus, indeed, a monk dwells observing the mental contents within the mental contents, regarding the internal and external spheres. Punachapparam bhikkave bhikkhu dhammesu dhammanupassi viharati satasu bojjhangesu katancha bhikkave bhikkhu dhammesu dhammanupassi viharati satasu bojjhangesu ida bhikkave bhikkhu santang va ajattang sati sambojjhangam attime ajattang sati sambojjhangoti pajanati asantang va ajattang sati sambojjhangam nattime ajattang sati sambojjhangam tipajanati yathacha anuppanassa sati sambojjhangas upado hoti tancha pajanati yathacha uppanassa sati sambojjhangas bhavanaya paripuri hoti tancha pajanati santang va ajattang dhamma vichaya sambojjhangam pe santang va ajattang virya sambojjhangam pe santang va ajattang piti sambojjhangam pe santang va ajattang pasatti sambojjhangam pe santang va ajattang samadhi sambojjhangam pe santang va ajattang upekka sambojjhangam attime ajattang upekka sambojjhangoti pajanati asantang va ajattang upekka sambojjhangam nattime ajattang upekka sambojjhangoti pajanati yathacha anuppanassa upekka sambojjhangasya upado hoti tancha pajanati yathacha uppannassa upekka sambojjhangasya bhavanaya paripuri hoti tancha pajanati iti accattang va dhammesu dhammanupassi viharati pahitta va dhammesu dhammanupassi viharati accatta pahitta va dhammesu dhammanupassi viharati samudaya dhammanupassi va dhammesu viharati vaya dhammanupassi va dhammesu viharati samudaya vaya dhammanupassi va dhammesu viharati atti dhammati va parasasati patrapattita hoti yavadeva jnanamattaya patisatimattaya anisrocha viharati nacha kinje loki upadiyati evam ko bhikkave bhikkhu dhammesu dhammanupassi viharati satasu sambojjhangesu. Furthermore, a monk dwells observing the mental contents within the mental contents with regard to the 7 factors of awakening. And how, O monks, does a monk dwell observing the mental contents within the mental contents with regard to the 7 awakening factors? Here, O monks, a monk, when the awakening factor of mindfulness is present in him, he understands the mindfulness. There is the awakening factor of mindfulness present in me, and when it is not present in him, he understands there is not the awakening factor of mindfulness present in me. And how the unarisen mindfulness awakening factor can be or can arise, he understands this, and he also understands how the perfection by the development of the arisen awakening factor of mindfulness can be done. And the same regards the other awakening factors. So when the awakening factor of investigation of Dhamma, Virya, of energy, of joy, of tranquility, of concentration, and of equanimity are present in him, then he understands they're present. And when they're not present, they understands they're not present in me. Okay, it's a bit of a free translation. I just summed it up a bit. And how, and just regarding the last one, but it regards also for all the previous ones. And he understands how the unarisen awakening factor of equanimity arises, and how the arisen awakening factor of equanimity can be perfected by development. He understands this all. Thus, he dwells observing the Dhammas within the Dhammas inside, outside, inside, and outside. And he dwells among the mental contents, observing the nature of arising, and passing. and his awareness, his mindfulness, or his mindfulness is now established, there is mental content, to the extent that only for mere knowledge and only for the sake of continuous mindfulness, and he dwells unattached and does not cling to anything in the world. Thus, indeed, among dwells observing the mental contents within the mental contents with regard to the 7 factors of awakening. All right. Purna Dasanaya Tava Bhaveya Subham Mangalam.